Ave, dear friends. My name is Marina Alexandrovna Smirnova. I'm delighted to share with you a conversation that has to do with embodied vulnerability, specifically within the context of transpersonal research of Dr. John E. Mack on alien encounters. And the full topic of our conversation today is the art of spiritual transformation through embodied vulnerability. And we're looking and reflecting on Dr. John E. Mack's transpersonal research on alien encounters. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the late Dr. John E. Mack and his invaluable contribution to understanding and also legitimizing the reality-shattering experiences of the abductees or experiencers, that is, individuals whose lives were forever changed through UFO, ET, or alien encounters. And please note that September 27th of this year, 2024, will mark 20 years since his transition. Grazie, cari amici. To describe this session, we're looking at the art of spiritual transformation, individual and collective. And in this session, we are examining reality-shattering experiences and the art of human transformation, explicated by Dr. John E. Mack in his transpersonal research on close alien encounters. Additionally, we are going to contemplate the far-reaching personal and transpersonal implications of Dr. John E. Mack's research on alien encounters that expand and transform conventional religious and also spiritual worldviews, artistic architectures, pursuits, and everyday experiential landscapes. Key focus for us is on transformative aspects and transpersonal or spiritual value of deeply evocative, reality-shattering spiritual experiences of the abductees or experiencers. And importantly, we are advocating, or I am advocating, for compassionate, personally, transpersonally, and spiritually grounded integration-oriented work with abductees or experiencers. My key invitation is to bring a compassionate, heart-centered, and open-minded conversation to the groundbreaking research of the late Dr. John E. Mack, who was a prominent Harvard University psychiatrist who worked with over 200 abductees or experiences of all ages. For the purpose of this session and this conversation, I would like to define the reality-shattering experiences as embodied, deeply evocative, and also energetically charged encounters that afford us potent, paradigm-shifting opportunities to break through in our understanding of human nature, in understanding our identity, our origin and destination, as well as our perceptual reality. We're looking also at what has been described by Rudolf Otto as the mysterium tremendum et fascinans. If you're interested, please take a look at his incredible text that was published around 1923, and it is called The Idea of the Holy. And of course, the mysterium tremendum et fascinans translates really well in English as mysterious, tremendous, and fascinating aspects of the divine. A little bit about myself, about my background, and also my playground. I have a bachelor's degree in music education, master's degree in counseling, and a PhD degree in psychology with transpersonal psychology concentration. I am a growth training certified holotherapy breathwork facilitator, 2012 cohort. I certified actually in Spain, close to Barcelona. And I have been teaching since I was 18. For the past 10 years, however, I have been teaching and mentoring graduate students at Saybrook University, where I serve as a full professor of psychology and where I also oversee consciousness, spirituality, and integrative health specialization. And outside of the halls of academia, I serve as a spiritual intuitive, a transpersonal mentor, a spiritual guide, and an alchemist of ascension. To begin and deepen our conversation into the art of spiritual transformation through embodied vulnerability, let us remember the words of Carl Gustav Jung, who in his book Modern Man in Search of a Soul noted, the spiritual journey is not a career or success story. It is a series of small humiliations of the false self that become more and more profound. I would like to share with you quotes from work of late Dr. John E. Mack to help you to actually viscerally experience his discoveries as he worked with many abductees or experiencers, and as he distilled spiritual, transformative, and transpersonal essence that is of value to us in this conversation. In his text that was published in 1999 called The Passport to Cosmos, Dr. John E. Mack wrote, quote, I am increasingly convinced that the subtle and elusive nature abduction phenomenon is such that its secrets will be denied to those using a purely empirical approach, who try to keep observer and observed, subject and object totally separate. So here we're looking at an opening and an opportunity for us to bring the fullness of our being beyond the empirical domain. We know that the abduction phenomenon points towards a realization that there are multiple cosmic realities beyond the 3D universe, and that humans, quote, exist in a multidimensional cosmos or universe, end of quote. Dr. Mack also shared that penetrating the multidimensional universe or universe or multiverse seems to require the full range of powers that human consciousness may possess, including intuition, contemplation, or what one of the experiences has called the heart's mind. With this, again, the invitation to bring forth the fullness of our being, our mind, our psyche, our spirit, our soul is very important. He wrote, what kind of business is this alien abduction phenomenon? First and foremost, he said, it appears to belong to the class of phenomena that do not respect the epistemological and ontological walls that we have erected between the unseen realms of the cosmos and ourselves. The abduction phenomenon, he wrote, is not the only one that does this. Crop formations, near-death experiences, some forms of healing at distance, such as non-local healing, telepathic communication, and the mind affecting matter experiments or parapsychology are a few of the other activities of nature that do not seem to respect this barrier. And of course, the barrier we're speaking about here is the epistemological and ontological barrier. Moreover, he said, the phenomenon itself represents a kind of return of the repressed that is designed to break down the separation between the manifest and the unseen worlds. It is also of value to note that he mentioned that I cannot offer proof of material reality of the abduction phenomenon, said Dr. Mack. He also said, and the abduction story moves more into the direction of mystery and the unknown than towards certainty and conviction. However, the abductees or experiences embodied accounts, and here we're talking about over 200 of them, are cohesive. They're consistently illuminating and they're very clear. And Dr. Mack notes this throughout his work. Importantly, as he said, Not much sense can be made of any of this material. And here we're talking about, of course, the abduction accounts and this phenomenon without positing an ultimate or overarching creative principle or intelligence in the cosmos that is doing its work through this and related phenomena. And isn't it wonderful to know how much relevance that holds for our conversation within the realms of religious and also spiritual transformation, views, and development? For Dr. Mack, the overarching story is quite complex. And here I would like to punctuate key points he notes in that story and how they relate to the abduction phenomenon and how they relate to the spiritual and embodied transformation, again, through that embodied vulnerability that we humans share. So here goes an overview of the fundamental human story. So humans come from the ultimate creative principle. And in that sense, we have unity with the source. That is our basic core understanding, which in time leads to, again, separation through self-consciousness and self-awareness, where we're losing and longing for the enduring connection with the source, which leads to materialistic paradigm, ideology, or thinking, and in terms leads to damaged relatedness with nature and the source, which in turn largely narrows down our human pleasures to what he called the earthly emotional connections and material satisfactions. In time, again, we are learning how to focus our efforts to prolong physical life of the human body and achieve physical, notice, rather than spiritual immortality, which leads to what Dr. John Edward Mack called spiritual bankruptcy. And in essence, this is how innumerable addictions arise to fill the spiritual void within human beings, individually and collectively, which in turn can lead to destructive ways of living and negative effects on the earth and its life forms. And I know that all of us are experiencing this and have been experiencing this in our unique subjective ways and also objectively. Dr. Mack noted, the highest intelligence appears to respect our free will and does not try to block us directly, but this does not mean that no intervention is occurring, and that directly relates to our conversation about the phenomenon itself, the abduction phenomenon. He said that aliens and humans appear to be in difficulty. Each has needs that the other can fulfill, he noted. Furthermore, he said that abductees consistently report that the beings or aliens here we're speaking about seem to be closer to the Godhead than we are. They're acting as messengers, guardian spirits, or angels, and intermediaries between us and the divine source. He also noted that the aliens vibrate, note please, vibrate at a considerably higher levels than humans. And they're less densely embodied. They are working on creating a human/alien hybrid race. And he pointed out that they can help to raise human consciousness and bring the species or us humans back into the connection with the source. Please note that I would like to bring in and weave in a connection here to Dr. David R. Hawkins. He contributed a great deal to transpersonal field in many ways, one of which is the creation of the map of consciousness that goes from 1 to 1,000, that actually delineates the levels of consciousness we human beings can achieve, experience, and that are available to us that our nervous system can tolerate, right, up to 1,000. So we're speaking about here, according to Dr. Mack, that aliens are vibrating at a considerably higher levels than humanity. We can think of humanity as overall, right? As overall humanity vibrating over level of 200 on that scale from 1 to 1,000. A level 200 is a critical point where we as human beings achieve a level of integrity and a level of a great measure of truth. And everything that's below 200, right? Those fields, we can visit them from time to time. Hopefully, we do not cling to them and we set up our base camp well over 200. But if humanity vibrates, let's say at 207, maybe a little bit higher as a humankind, and if aliens in fact are vibrating higher, that means that there is a possibility for human beings again to reach forward our highest potentials in that collaboration. For Dr. Mack, humans can no longer afford to, quote, remain devoted to their own egoic pursuits, end of quote. And we as humans must undergo what he calls a radical change in consciousness. However, as he noted, the human ego, especially in Western cultures, bolstered by great powers of intellectual or rationalization and denial, is highly resistant to change. To map it out again on using David R. Hawking's map of consciousness, the intellectual domain, the domain of reason, is in the 400s, but it can only take us till 499. That's the intellectual genius. Examples are, for instance, Freud, Einstein, and others. However, at 500, in the domain of love, dogs are wagging their tails, cats are purring, and birds are chirping. Yes, at 540, we have a domain of unconditional love where human beings can heal themselves and others simply by, again, welcoming that vibration and nurturing this. And of course, at 600 in that scale, we have levels of enlightenment, early levels of enlightenment that deepen in the 700s and 800s and so on. So when we are looking at transforming, we're not looking only at intellectual transformation because it can only take us to 499. That's the intellectual genius. But we're looking more at what David R. Hawking said or referred to as spiritual genius. And that will be the domains of 600 and above. And of course, we cannot leave out the 500s or domain of love. And keep in mind, the unconditional love at 540 would be, according to David R. Hawkins, a very realistic goal for human beings to set and to achieve. Dr. Mack, regarding humans, he noted that we humans are often deeply traumatized by the abduction experiences, which evoke terror and helplessness. And yet, ultimately, we are awakened and deeply transformed by this reality shattering and ego shattering experiences, which offer quite often high vibration and embodied encounters. Dr. Mack noted, quote, for this awakening, the heightened awareness that grows out of the shattering impact of the encounters carries with it quite consistently certain interrelated psychospiritual changes, especially if the experiencers are enabled to work through the traumatic dimensions of what they feel certain has happened to them. Therefore, I offer to you here a key takeaway. And I trust that your open heart and open mind and your sense of compassion allows you to hear that invitation and to contemplate it, consider it fully. And here's the key takeaway or invitation is to transpersonally or spiritually grounded, for that transpersonal, spiritual grounded, integration-oriented work that abductees and experiences actually very much need, and it's essential for them. So the invitation is to promote that work, to facilitate it or to co-facilitate it, to hold space for it, because that integration-oriented work of experiencers or abductees benefits not only them, but also benefits humanity and its spiritual evolution. Importantly, abductees or experiencers, one, become experientially aware of the archetypes and archetypal realities. And Dr. Mack pointed this out quite well in his work. And this helps them to feel closer to the divine source. Number two, note that according to him, they manifest particular psychic abilities, and numerous accounts of abductees or experiencers show and illustrate that. Three, Dr. Mack noted that experience a heart opening or sense of loving connection with the beings and creation also is something that abductees or experiencers experience and have in common. And here we may be we're very well positioning that heart-opening experience, right, in the domain of the 500s, using that David R. Hawking map of consciousness, of scale of consciousness, to which I have referred several times earlier in this conversation. And number four, according to Dr. Mack, experience a renewed sense, they do experience a renewed sense of sacred and a reverence for nature, as well as many give up mainstream jobs and become active in earth-serving projects. Finally, point number five, Dr. Mack noted that experiencers or abductees experience divine homesickness and a sense of human, alien, or human or even alien identity. So that question of identity has been also central to to Dr. Mack's work. And that is something that expands our previous paradigms of who we are and how we connect to all that is, connect to source and connect to other cosmic communities that, as we're learning, are inexistent and operable, and we have opportunities, individual and collectives, to continue that connection. Importantly, according to Dr. Mack, the abduction phenomenon seems to be one of a number of intrusions into our reality from other realms that are contributing to the gradual, or at least so far, spiritual rebirth taking place in Western culture. Thus, we can say that the concept of spiritual emergence and spiritual emergency are deeply relevant as we look at, support, facilitate, co-facilitate, and contemplate the work with experiencers or abductees. And time for humor. Well, based on all the head tilts, maybe I'd better explain this again. Dr. Mack noted, in the end, he said, the abduction phenomenon seems to be a part of the shift in consciousness that is collapsing duality and enabling us to see that we are connected beyond the earth at a cosmic level. No common enemy will unite us, he said, but the realization of a common source might. I sense that this is a wonderful invitation for us to consider how we can continue to unite and grow closer, individually, collectively, cosmically. And I trust that the invitation is something that will continue to be always with you. Moreover, as Dr. Mack remarked, the alien abduction, he said, the alien abduction phenomenon specifically, is largely as an opportunity or a gift, a kind of a catalyst for the evolution of consciousness in the direction of an emergent sense of responsibility for our own and the planet's future. We know how much is at stake, and he knew this as well. In my research of the late Dr. E. Mack work and his life, I've discovered his quote, and I would like to share it here with you. So he shed light on the need for profound human spiritual awakening, transformation, and transpersonal maturing, as you can tell. Thus reflecting on the bewildering extraterrestrial phenomena he researched and contemplated, Dr. Mack decisively remarked, and he shared the following. This is an outreach program from the cosmos to the consciously impaired. There seemed to be some effort to get through us humans. And of course, this is difficult. Reflecting on his 13-year-long groundbreaking clinical practice with abductees or experiencers, Dr. John E. Mack professed and embodied, maybe, he said, what I thought was possible wasn't complete. It seems to me it's clinically and humanly more honest to say, there's something I don't know here, and to follow your clinical instincts. Isn't this a tall order invitation? It certainly is. And perhaps we can closely consider Dr. John E. Mack's words and put them to work in our own lives as we prepare for, experience, and integrate our own reality-shattering spiritual encounters. In conclusion, in this session, we focused together on transformative aspects and transpersonal spiritual value of deeply evocative reality-shattering spiritual experiences of the abductees or experiencers. We advocated, and I continue to do so, for compassionate, transpersonally or spiritually grounded, integration-oriented work with the abductees or experiencers. Why? Unless we're offering them opportunities to work through traumatic aspects of abduction-related experiences, it is very difficult for them to reach the transformative benefits of such experiences individually and collectively. And my ongoing invitation remains as such. So I ask you to continue to bring a compassionate heart and an open mind to the groundbreaking research of the late Dr. John E. Mack as you encounter reality-shattering experiences in connection with the abduction phenomenon. And something else to chew on. Take in the love and care of those who surround you. Know that when it comes to supporting your reality-shattering experiences, those who surround you may not have suitable personal, transpersonal spiritual frameworks to be of optimal spiritual support, yet they care, and this matters. Importantly, please consider sharing with others about your own deeply evocative, uncanny reality-shattering experiences only when you are ready. Discern when, how much, and under which circumstances and contexts you would like to share, because the embodied psyche demands utmost respect, intricate support, and conscious tending. And here's to life. Simple ways to ground and to stay connected. I'm sure you have your own. Perhaps you make time for prayer, contemplation, meditation. And I trust that this benefits you and the humankind a great deal. My invitation is also to consider grounding. And here you see my dog Star. He is a grounding master, and he invites you as well to make time to connect with the earth and to align with her tremendous energetic gift by connecting directly our hands with the earth, directly our bodies with the earth, our feet with the earth. We are inviting better ways of being and becoming in connection, honoring this beautiful planet, which is really remarkable, a jewel, if you will, or one of the jewels of the cosmos. And let us environ by love, joy, compassion, and peace now and always. May our integrating journeys bring us profound experiences and bring us peace, joy, and many a gift, or bring us tremendous boon, as Joseph Campbell would put it. Once again, grazie, cari amici. My name is Marina Alexandrovna Smirnova. You can find me at Saybrook University in the United States. And here is my email, msmirnova@saybrook.edu. And you can also find me through ASCENSIONoracle.com. Many blessings to you and yours. Thank you.